Welcome to the Business Finance Bulletin, episode 180. Welcome again to the latest Business Finance Bulletin with me, Rob Warlow from Business Loan Services, the commercial finance experts. In this bulletin, APRs to be quoted for small business loans, rise in the number of businesses in significant financial distress, and continued growth in the peer-to-peer lending sector. When it comes to lending to small businesses, the government has wanted lenders to be much more transparent in terms of pricing. Well, that was the findings of an investigation carried out in 2016 by the Competition and Markets Authority. It found out that it was very difficult for small business owners to compare quotes from different lenders because interest rates and prices were quoted in different ways. So as a result, it was very difficult to try and find the very best deal. Well, in that report in 2016, the CMA said that on the 1st of August 2017, all small business lenders who were lending below £25,000 would now have to quote an APR, which is the annual percentage rate. We'll say that 1st of August deadline has now come and passed. So if you're ever borrowing money below £25,000, you will now see an APR quoted. Now, if you borrow money as an individual via a personal loan or a credit card, you'll be familiar with the concept of APR. Now, here's the bizarre thing. The CMA has actually said that this requirement to quote APRs does not apply to peer-to-peer lenders, which is a bit bizarre because, as we'll see later on in this bulletin, peer-to-peer or P2P is actually constituting a very large slice of where businesses are getting their finance from. So it's a bit strange that they've actually been excluded. It means that this side-by-side comparison still really can't take place. Now, watch this space because I'm sure no doubt over time that anomaly will be closed. But at least an interesting development which will make pricing and comparison a lot easier for small businesses. Continued evidence is coming out that small businesses are finding the current economic environment much more challenging. Well, this findings have come out from the latest Red Flag Alert report issued by Begbies Traynor, the business recovery practice. They've estimated that at the end of Q2 2017 that there's been a significant jump in the number of small businesses classified as in significant financial distress. At the end of Q2 2017, they estimate that total number of small businesses in that category stood at 329,834, and that's a 25% increase on the same period in 2016. Which sectors are suffering most? Well, first of all, it's property and then construction. And those increases in the number of firms classifying themselves as in distress has been an increase of 32% and 22% respectively. So it's really significant falls there. Now, this is also coming on the back of course, this announcement from the Bank of England that it's really concerned about how much consumer debt individuals are taking on. As at the end of June 2017, the total amount of credit card and personal debt has increased by 10% over the last 12 months. That's a massive jump. The Bank of England is getting a message out to banks that they want them to be much more cautious because they're seeing another bubble beginning to burst, potentially. So you put all these things together and I think we're in for a rocky 6 months with banks perhaps curtailing consumer expenditure by reducing the amount of facilities available to consumers to go out and buy goods and services. So combine this together, we could be in for a bit of a rocky ride. One finance sector that continues to do well is the alternative finance sector, made up of crowdfunders and peer-to-peer lenders. Well, the Peer-to-Peer Finance Association has released the latest lending figures for Q2 2017 of its members who make up the association. In Q2, the association estimates that its members lent out a total of £819 million. Now that compares to Q2 2016 when the figure was £658 million. So we can see a very large jump. Now that total money lent out is money lent out to both individuals and small businesses. Now the small business element of it was £478 million, so a big chunk going out to small businesses. So in terms of the Peer-to-Peer Finance Association, Who are its members? Well, it's made up of some of the leading lights, including Folk to Folk, Funding Circle, Land Bay, Lendworks, Market Invoice, Rate Setter, Thin Cats and Zopa. So you can see these are the main players in this market, so they account for a large proportion of total amount of money being lent through this alternative finance sector. If you want to know more about whether you could be eligible to access finance through one of these providers, just drop us an email, info@businessloanservices.co.uk, and we'll happily guide you through the process. Well, that's it for another bulletin. Thanks very much for being with me. Please don't forget, if you're watching the video version, we also got a podcast version for you to listen to at your leisure. You can get that via iTunes, Stitcher and SoundCloud. And obviously, if you are listening on the podcast version, just go along to my YouTube channel, search for Rob Warlow, and there you will find this bulletin and a host of other bulletins and tips and ideas on raising finance and dealing with banks. Thanks very much for being with me. I look forward to being with you again next time. Have a great, successful and profitable week. Bye-bye now.